you want that to leak?
We don't want this to leak.
Oh.
This Max Air fan was dead out of the box. Well, not this one, the first one I got. The motor that lifts up the fan totally seized, wouldn't work at all. So, Amazon 30-day return exchange policy on day 29. Exchange for this one. Let's open it up, bench test it, make sure it works before we swap it out with the one that was broken out of the box.
$12 volts. Hey! It's working! This motor right here, completely seized. Won't turn it on. Won't turn it off.
I would have loved for Max Air to have had the quality control to test this before it left the factory. Maybe they do, maybe the other one just slipped through, but for something that's 10 times cheaper than, you know, Instagram worthy air conditioner, I'll take it. Flip this around. So much better.
Now that we're done bench testing, let's get into the install workflow. So we've used a laser level to mark the center line on the van, and now we're going to use a drywall tee to mark a 14 by 14 inch hole. And then we're going to double check that hole by tracing a cardboard template out of the trim ring the van comes with and putting that on the roof of the van just to make sure that matches our 14 inch by 14 inch cut area, and it does. So now we can prepare to cut. So we're going to put down some tape on the outside of the cut lines because we want to protect the van from any scratches the jigsaw might do. And you'll also note that we place this in the middle of the ribs so that the trim ring for the Max Air fan won't be off center due to its placement over one of those perforations. And we just want that trim ring to have a really level surface to bite onto because that makes it easier for it to repel water. Okay, so now we're drilling our pilot holes with a step bit to start our cutting process, and we're using our jigsaw with a metal blade to cut our holes. And honestly, it just works a lot better than the air saw for these types of lines and cuts in my experience. We do have a rooftop support beam here, and we're going to use an angle grinder to get through that, and the air saw to just finish a little piece that the air saw couldn't get. So there's the jigsaw getting the last piece out there. It's up for that corner. That might be a job for the air saw. It is. And now we need to clean things up with the grinder, with the grinding wheel. Now it's going to be time for the bastard file. Getting all those edges nice and smooth so don't cut into anything in preparation for paint. Doing a quick test fit before we paint. Okay, all that looks nice, fits like a glove. Trim ring's going in nicely. And we can go ahead, just visualize everything how it's going to go. Now we're cleaning with denatured alcohol and painting all those exposed metal edges with our white Rust-Oleum paint.
1 day later.
And now we are going to pre-drill our holes because the kit does not ship with self-tapping screws, so pre-drilling is important. Also using the file to clean up all those holes, and then we're going to paint all those holes.
How do you cut holes out of the tail?
we used a saw that's made to cut through metal.
The saw?
Yeah.
Oh.
So yeah.
Okay.
So I take the popsicle stick and then I separate the metal and I put the popsicle stick in between the metal and the popsicle stick. And that gets the glue in.
So.
Okay, so we've got our JB Weld epoxy gluing these support members back into place, and we have them clamped down, and we're going to give them some time to dry. This glue holds 5,000 pounds-ish per square inch.
Do you want that to leak?
We don't want this to leak.
Oh.
And now that we have our butyl tape on the outside of the trim ring, we are ready to use our shiplap sealant as an additional water barrier on the outside of this ring. And you'll notice that I exploded the tube, and that's because it was so cold outside. I heated this up in some warm water and the cardboard soaked it up. And so the tube of caulk just ruptured as soon as I pulled on the trigger of the caulk gun. So if you do that, put it in like a Ziploc bag and go full sous vide style, and that way you can warm up your caulk without adding water to your caulk gun. Okay, so after hand wiping our sealant under the inside, we're going to go ahead and use our metal screws to attach the trim ring all around the outside, and then we're going to cover all those little screw tops with some more shiplap. One thing I should have done is use some painter's tape on the perimeter to keep any of that sealant from moving any further than it needed to onto the roof of the van. Fortunately, it's not a Mona Lisa. No one's going to be looking up there inspecting my lines, but do that in the future. Next, we use 4 screws to attach the roof fan assembly to the top, and you can wait until the shiplap dries and you won't have wet shiplap getting onto your top unit like what was happening to me in this scene if you do that. So just learn from my mistakes and your install will go a little bit better. Let's just say 10% better than mine. Okay, so now that we got this done, we can go to our build log, list this in our table of contents so we can refer to it in the future, and just check our steps we've outlined here. Okay, we've got a bench test installed. Got to return that old unit. Oh, got to do the electrical. Okay, we'll do that next, and then we should be done. So we're going to use some 16 gauge wire. It's marine grade. Link to it in my affiliate Amazon link below, and we'll run that through this support beam and then label it DC 10 because it's our 10th DC circuit on both sides. Trim it off, button it up in our cable bundle, and we should be good to go. In any case, that's all I got for you today. Thank you for watching, and we will see you around.